I'd like to call to order the Planning Commission meeting for the Village of Beverly Hills for Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. Lydia's not here, so Susie, are you calling roll?
I am, so bear with me, and I'm not doing the fancy stuff of alphabetical or anything, we're just going down the line. Mr. Copeland? Here. Miss Erickson? Here. Mr. Lucas, sorry.
Here.
Miss Dillard Russo?
Here.
Mr. Westerland?
Here.
Miss Harper?
Here.
Mr. Trust? Mr. Campbell?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Do I need a motion to?
I haven't heard
We
from
haven't
him.
heard from him, so it's not going to be a motion, so we'll move along to the, we have an agenda in front of us, so I'm looking for somebody to provide any comments or looking for a motion to approve the agenda as it's submitted.
Move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Motion made by Jeff, second by Robin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We have the meeting minutes from the April 22nd Planning Commission meeting. If you had a chance to read those over, had any comments, adds, or deletions? Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion.
Move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Had a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Public comments on items not in the published agenda. Is there anybody here from the public who wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move right along to old business. Sign permit for Detroit Country Day School, the actual scoreboard.
All right. Well, so as you recall, and I didn't put together a formal PowerPoint, right? It was going to be a regurgitation of what we saw at the last meeting. But I do have some pictures and provided by the applicant, as well as an updated rendering of the scoreboard itself. But you may recall they are seeking to remove and relocate their existing scoreboard to the northeast corner of the track. So it's currently over here on the far side of the field near their entrance, and they're proposing to relocate the sign and install a newer, larger model right over here in the northeast corner. We talked a lot about the visual impacts of the scoreboard that they're proposing. And, is it going to impact traffic on 13 Mile Road? Is it going to impact traffic on Lasser? Are there, what about the sight lines, the brightness, all the things? And we left it at the last meeting with, we can arrange to have a site visit over at Lawrence Tech University. They have a similar sign that it's about 10 years older than what's being proposed by Detroit Country Day. We did have, most of you expressed an interest during the meeting of maybe seeing it, but then there wasn't a whole lot of interest in doing an actual coordinated site visit after the fact. Brian and I also had talked with the applicants about seeing if we could maybe mock something up there on site, and trying to coordinate that was just not feasible. There was not really a good way to make it happen. So what they have provided to us, though, are pictures of what we can see. So this is down onto the field, and actually I need to. Because I can't read the words. All right, so this is a mocked up version of what they are proposing. So you can see the existing goalposts are approximately 20 feet, and what they are proposing is actually shorter. If you recall from the last meeting, they were able to kind of change the dimensions and make it more of a landscape sort of sign as opposed to, portrait if we're going with conventional conventional dimensions. So this is that shorter sign at 28 feet. So you can see the trees are substantially higher. There's still quite a bit of coverage. That is looking towards Lasser, is that correct? All right, so that's looking towards Lasser. You can't see Lasser, right? Similarly, at the entrance of the school, the sight lines are pretty well blocked here from 13 Mile. This is, again, facing Lasser going eastbound. Just a slightly different version. This is this not the concessions. This is near that's concessions over here? Okay. So concessions, so the bleachers are over here, which you cannot see. This, I think, is a little bit more kind of what we were going for with some of those questions is how heavily obscured is this? I mean, truly, it is. It's a tiny, little, itty-bitty white speck, right? That's what you can see. That's the goalpost. So, and again, that's at a 20-foot height. Once you get onto campus from the entranceway, obviously you can see it a little bit better. Goalpost, the scoreboard would be approximately here behind the tree. And then this is the view from the furthest point of that upper parking lot closest to the residents. So this would be their view. Right? It's difficult, obviously, to see what kind of, it's difficult to superimpose an image of the scoreboard for this, but I when I got these pictures and I saw them, I think it provides the perspective that this board was seeking. Okay. They are proposing to reduce the sign size. So originally, they were proposing a sign that was 577 square feet, just over. They have reduced that by approximately 3%. Again, it's more of the landscape. They added the panel to the side, right? But these are the dimensions that they are currently proposing for that sign. And I've got a few other renderings I can show you, just so you can get it, again, same dimensions, just essentially different graphics on the scoreboard itself. So I've covered their revisions. What questions do you have for me or the applicant or Brian?
Well, I guess if there's anything that Brian wants to add, he can, and then I'll ask the applicant to step to the podium.
I don't have anything to add at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great, thanks. Who's going to take the first stab?
Scott Stanley, Detroit Country Day.
Scott, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, just that, we've gone out of our way. We've made some changes to try to make people more comfortable with the scoreboard. Since then, we have met with the scoreboard company, and they have a very robust curriculum that we're we're very excited to put into our school programming. So it meets a lot of our needs, both athletically and educationally. And again, if you want to visit the campus, you'll see the same thing that we show in these pictures, that it's very difficult to see the scoreboard from anywhere except on the field or in the bleachers.
Okay, thank you. I think I just want to point out that because our packet did not include those revised dimensions, so if we decide to move favorably for this item, I would like to see it addressed that the dimensions have been changed to the wider, shorter scoreboard.
And just to clarify, I did end up updating the packet this afternoon. So
So,
we,
for those of us who don't look at their email in the afternoon, just want to make sure that we are looking at, this was a result of our conversation last month, where these come in panels, and we were going to, the applicant decided to remove a top panel and then add it to the side, so it is a little more of a landscape and a little shorter. And then also, just for a point of reference, since we had discussion at the table about Lawrence Tech and their scoreboard, I went out there after the meeting last month to take a look, because I was one of the proponents or one of the people who was really concerned about the light bleed of a scoreboard as you're driving along 13 Mile. And from my experience of visiting Lawrence Tech, the lights that are illuminating the field are much more distracting than the scoreboard. You know, when you start thinking about the ambient light being brought up to the level that's broadcasting across the field and illuminating the area, that scoreboard at Lawrence Tech did not, in my opinion, did not constitute any kind of overbearing visual distraction. You know, in my mind, I was worried about like a billboard on the highway, but then that's in a perspective of a dark sky or dark without any other lights. And I felt like when I'm visiting there that the bigger impact were the stadium lights onto the field. And so with the addition of lowering and widening, for me, it feels a little better. You want to, I guess you.
Rich Hodek from Grissom, Metz, Andrews Associates. Susie, if you could scroll up, I did want to make a point. If you scroll up to the view that has the scoreboard itself.
oh, to the,
The second, I think it's the second page. Yeah, so in this photo, what we ended up doing was we took the scoreboard came to us in a two-dimensional flat surface. So we turned it somewhat, but I couldn't turn it all the way as to really to reflect the angle that the plan is. So that scoreboard is actually going to be turned more in a easterly direction, facing the stand. So but in order for you to get some context of relative to height, so that scoreboard, it's showing it's at roughly as close as we could do it in a photoshopped image, is at 28 feet. The old scoreboard was at 31 feet, it hasn't been mentioned, so I thought I'd bring that up. So it has been reduced by about 3 feet in height. And then again, it'll turn more so that it's more towards the stands than it is facing out in a westerly direction. So just more context.
Appreciate that. I'll bring it back to the board. If there's any other commissioners that have any questions, comments either comments for the commission or for questions for staff, applicant.
I see the sound is on there, but then I read, is that not part of the recommendation?
no, they, after doing the sound study all of that information is in the packet from last month.
Yep.
After conducting that sound study, it was determined by Detroit Country Day that was not really a good idea. So they were just upgrading their existing system. And that's considered a maintenance item, so it's not under the purview.
So just make sure there isn't any sound associated with the scoreboard.
Okay.
Yeah, it was their speaker system that's at the bleachers, and they provided the data last month or the month before showing the more targeted approach with the new speaker system.
The new revised system will actually be quieter than our current system or the one that was originally proposed for the scoreboard.
Okay.
I think the other thing is, and I didn't take this into my calculations, but looking with this lowered by 3.5 feet, the top of that scoreboard as it projects across the parking lot to the west is, if I do my math right, is about the top of the illuminated portion of the scoreboard is about 4.5 feet if you're standing in the parking lot all the way at the west.
Just for the record, though, that top 4 feet,
No, that's what I'm saying, top of the illuminated portion. The top portion I know is not illuminated, so I just took my I calced to just top of the illuminated portion, and then by reducing it 39 inches, 3.5 feet, I was at 7 and change, so that's about 4 feet, the top of the illuminated portion at the far left end of the west end of the parking lot.
So you're saying it's 4 feet, yeah, so. 4
Above the
feet is
asphalt.
And then there's a 6-foot fence there.
Yes.
With the people
It-
behind there,
I think
privacy fence.
I
so-
think it's higher than a 6-foot fence.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I think, it's not a 6-foot, it's, so the 8-foot fence. So I started feeling a lot more comfortable about the height in relation to those neighbors on that west end.
I think knowing that the height's been reduced by 3 feet and then it's turned more towards the audience than it is the road, plus the fact that there's no sound makes me feel comfortable moving forward with this.
Any other comments? I know a couple of us were here last month. Any additional, because we had a lot of discussion with both Scott and Rich.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Just a comment. I went to Lawrence Tech as well to look at the scoreboard. I did think it was not as large and intrusive as I thought it would be, looking at the dimensions when I saw it at Lawrence Tech, and I do understand that was larger. And I do appreciate that you came back and changed the dimension to the landscape style that we talked about last time that was presented. So I do think this is a much more reasonable dimension of scoreboard for the area.
I forgot to mention the same thing, is that I envisioned it to be overbearing, and it wasn't, didn't have that same feeling. Anyone else? Otherwise, I look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the amended application with the 560.09 square foot digital billboard as presented, with the conditions that no commercial advertising is present. The scoreboard is screened as much as feasible from vehicular traffic on 13 Mile Road and Lassa Roads, as well as nearby residents. And the scoreboard is turned off when no sporting events are occurring.
I have a motion for Jeff. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Robin. Call roll, please, Susie.
All right, Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
Ms. Erickson,
Yes.
Mr. Lucas,
Yes.
Ms. Dillard Rusa,
Yes.
Mr. Westerland,
Yes.
Ms. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Miss you guys.
You can come back for other projects.
You'll be back.
Wait till summer's over.
Exactly. I live right behind you, so yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for working with us. We really appreciate that. Thank
Looking
you.
forward to it.
Super loud.
Take care.
All right.
Okay, moving right along to item number 7, new business. Introduction of the master plan and zoning ordinance rewrite.
Yeah. Yay. Come on up. You guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend Joe Tangari. He's also going to be our project lead for our master plan and zoning ordinance rewrite. So Joe is with Giffels, Webster. I think we talked about, did I talk about them at the last meeting, maybe the meeting before?
last meeting.
All right, so we did have 7 respondents to our RFP, and Giffels Webster put together a really fantastic proposal, right? There's a lot of public engagement. They really get the area, you know, they're based in Birmingham. They have a whole lot of familiarity with the Southfield Road corridor. They're the planners of record for Lathrop Village. There's a lot of history, a lot of knowledge of the community, the area, and I've worked with Joe and the Giffels group before. Always impressed with their high quality work. So I think we're going to have a really fantastic project and process, and I'm going to let Joe take over as soon as I can see what I'm trying to see here, Joe. There we go. All right, Joe, here are the instructions for this sucker. Okay. All right, just scroll, control, all right, otherwise.
I say not sorry, I didn't say
Stop
anything.
it,
I didn't say
man.
anything. Didn't say anything.
But So really, we're not going to get started today. We're not really diving into the weeds today, but I wanted to have Joe come and introduce himself and talk a little bit about how he envisions this process to go, and then we'll really get started probably in July with meetings here.
Sure. And there's a quiz at the end, so. No, one person who I already know is Jeff Campbell, who I actually started my career in planning, working for him in Hazel Park. So, stroke of the universe, we're both here. So other communities that I work for, just so you kind of get a sense of my, the geography that I'm usually in, Bloomfield Hills, Clawson, doing a master plan for Oak Park at the moment. Those are my kind of hyper-local ones. I also do work for Bruce Township and Casco Township out on the fringes. And I've done work for Farmington Hills and all kinds of other, Bloomfield Township and kind of all over southeast Michigan. I live in Berkeley, so I'm nice and close. I rode my bike to the first meeting we had with Susie, and I ride my bike to work in Birmingham through Beverly Hills just about every day of the week up Pierce. So, I'm real familiar with Beverly Hills. I take my son to the bike track over at the park and the sledding hill in the winter, so I'm here a lot. And I'm really looking forward to working with you guys. We do have a bigger team. It's not just me, but I'm the one representing us tonight. My colleague Andy is probably going to be the one spearheading the zoning ordinance portion of this project. It is a master plan and it's a zoning ordinance project, so we got two really big pieces that are going to be happening within a 2-year time frame. This is grant funded, so we have a drop dead. Our drop dead is going to be projected May 30th, 2028, so we got to have this project done by then. We're going to be working on both projects at the same time, but because a zoning ordinance flows from a master plan, the master plan is going to be the lead project, and the zoning ordinance is going to trail behind that. We're going to start out with an assessment of the current master plan and an audit of the zoning ordinance so that we kind of know what ground we're standing on right up front. And we will be doing some, basic zoning work where if we find in that audit that, well, this really needs to be fixed, we'll be doing that right up front, and then we'll be waiting until we have the policy guidance from the master plan to get into things like what's the zoning map going to look like in the future. I do have on this next slide here, it's kind of hard to see because it's right out of the proposal, but a timeline of the process, and it's on 2 slides because it's a complex project. But one of the things that you're seeing here on this line is that the master plan is wrapping up well before the zoning ordinance. There is always a dead space at the end of a master plan project where you have a 63-day waiting period where you send it over to other communities for comments, and everybody just sort of has to sit and twiddle their thumbs while we wait for the 63-day period to be over, and then we have a public hearing to adopt. So in that space, we'll know where we're going from a policy perspective. So we'll be doing a lot of work to finalize the zoning ordinance and get our zoning map and districts in order during that little interregnum so that we can move forward quickly after the adoption of the master plan. This timeline is kind of sketched out for 24 months. We're going to try to accelerate that wherever we possibly can. But these projects, 2 years is about the right time frame for a project of this scope and scale. We have a pretty robust public engagement program set up. Most of that public engagement flows into the master plan, and then once you've set your policy off of that public engagement in the master plan, of course, the zoning ordinance flows from that. But we have, in addition to your usual surveys, some planned focus groups, some planned meetings with groups of particular interest around the community. Really would like to talk to students who are often left out of these processes just because they have fewer routes for engagement. So we like to get into the schools if we can to talk to people. And I know obviously you're sharing your school district with some other communities, but it's okay if we accidentally educate some students who live in other communities in civics while we're at it. So we don't mind. The zoning ordinance there's going to be a steering committee for that, and we're working on the details of what that steering committee is going to look like. All of the master plan work will happen in this forum, and then for the steering committee on the zoning ordinance, there will be report outs to the full planning commission, and that will be the planning commission in full's opportunity to provide its feedback on the direction that's been established in the steering committee. But we want to get like the details ironed out in the steering committee and then bring it to you. And then, of course, for the zoning ordinance, the things to remember are always that it can be amended. So if we're having trouble agreeing about something, we decide on something and then we can amend it in the future if need be. And then also, you can never account for every possible edge case. So there's always a point where you have to say, all right, we've got it, we've got what we need here, and then if we need to add to it in the future, we can. That's the kind of the meat of it right there. As far as the master plan is concerned, there were a few focus areas that were identified up front, and I just wanted to let you know what those were. So they're kind of topic-based focused areas. One is housing. Housing is actually a required focus area under the Michigan Planning Enabling Act as of last year. Stormwater and sustainability. That's always a big one in this area. We have generally pretty poorly drained soils, so we wind up with lots of things happening in basements that we'd rather not have happening. So transportation and mobility, and that's going to include a complete streets component, economic development, and finally community facilities and services. And then that all builds up into a new future land use map. And following the future land use map, we always include a detailed implementation guide that gives you some resources for how to actually achieve some of the goals that you've set in your master plan. And that's a pretty good summary of where we're headed with all of this. We're going to be having a joint meeting with the council. I don't recall if it's going to be end of June or end of July, but I don't think we've quite set that in stone yet.
No, I have reached out to council for their availability. I'd like to try and target the July meeting.
Yep.
I think June, yeah, after looking at what's on their agenda for June, I'm pretty sure they're going to tell me
Do not agree.
no. So I'm going to try and, I'd like to try and have them attend a planning commission meeting since we are the lead body that's going to be undertaking this. It has been suggested, although, and Joe doesn't know this yet, but I mean, there's a possibility we could maybe take over like a July or an August village council meeting, but I'm leaning personally towards planning commission. So I'll let you know when I find out. Right.
We're not yet in the grant period.
Yeah,
it hasn't officially started, so we're doing this a little early. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, no, this is for giggles. We're just getting some paperwork done.
This is an RRC grant, or is it from?
No, this is not an RRC grant, actually. This is funded through the CDBG Disaster Relief Grant, right? This is a planning grant, so I'll have a lot of paperwork hoops to jump through. I might end this 2 years with a little less hair, who knows? But so I have a lot of hoops to jump through, but this is completely fully funded, and their end product goals are actually what our end product goals are, right? We have to have a plan and we have to have an ordinance, so, all right, it works for us. So, the 2 years is a firm timeline though, so we are,
So, yeah, that's for the grant funding, understand that, but is there a timeline for the master plan update? Are we beholden to any end date for the master plan update?
No, I mean, we are required to, evaluate our master plan every 5 years, update it as necessary, right? And so we're obviously at that point. So there's no requirement for us to have the master plan updated by 2027.
Okay.
But we are beholden to those grant funds, so.
And we want to make sure the master plan is done well in advance of the zoning ordinance.
Sure. So I guess in preparation for that joint meeting, are you going to have a document that you're going to distribute ahead of time, or is it just going to be at the presentation at
Yes.
that joint meeting?
There will be some leading information, definitely, and then we will also have some activities that occur at the meeting to kind of set an initial, we kind of tend to do something similar to a SWOT analysis, essentially, at those meetings. And then we've got all the decision makers in the room, and it gives us a good basis for moving forward. Sometimes we modify survey questions based on what we hear, or create new survey questions based on what we hear at that meeting, because it gives us a good sense of what's happening in the community and what we need to be asking about.
So I'm just going to push that back and ask for a little homework, right, that we should be thinking about that as that July meeting may come to fruition.
Yep.
Is that we're putting our thinking caps on and thinking a little bit more about that vision.
Yeah, so I'm excited, I don't know, I hope you guys are all excited about all this. Any other?
I would just recommend that everyone think about housing. It's going to come down the pipeline, whether it's through this or the housing readiness package that is with the Michigan legislature right now. So there are things for us to think about regarding different housing typologies. I was actually interviewed by Giffels or Parks doing one in Coolidge and 9, trying to build different housing types, more affordable housing. And when we say affordable these days, it actually means more attainable housing, which is the 80 to 120% AMI level or area median income level, meaning we're talking about people who are the teachers at the high school, we're talking about the nurses who work at Corwell, and we're talking about the public safety folks or anyone in this building that works here that can actually afford to live here as well. So those are just some considerations when we move forward with housing. And I work for an organization that does this kind of work, and so, sorry.
No,
Get off the soapbox.
That's why I was asking Joe about having a packet ahead of time to get that thought process going for any of these special things like housing.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, not surprised at the
No, and
meeting that we want to have that
so
conversation.
basically what I would tell you guys, if you want to consider this, the sort of movement now is to consider smaller homes. Sort of think about, they're calling them, what are the catalog stuff?
Cottage homes?
No, like the pattern books. Pattern books,
yeah.
right? Whether it's MML, where you have a standard design, whether that's smaller homes, whether that's everyone is sort of looking at approving alternate or accessory dwelling units and back in, so that you add, it's sort of a multi-generational thing. I would stress that we want to use design standards for that versus just in Hazel Park, we had a lot of converted garages into houses that didn't work, and then you have to demo and blah, blah, blah. So there is some standards to that. But there are more tools than ever for those kind of things, whether it's at the county level through what is now called housing tax increment financing, which is sort of like brownfield tax increment financing. I don't want to get in the weeds with that, but there's also a workforce housing ordinance that we can pass that provides abatements to developers where they wouldn't pay taxes for a certain number of years. They just have to keep it under the 120% AMI level. This is just for rents, but that's a way to get more rental units online. That's what Lathrop Village is looking at doing at the old school that's on Southfield Road.
Yep.
It's 143, and basically the cost of everything, you need some kind of assistance to make these pencil, is basically where it's at this point. So just, sorry, again, I'll shut up.
You don't need to. That's part of what we're here for.
No.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was involved in a project years ago in Pontiac in trying to do affordable apartment units, and we had 7 layers of
Oh,
funding.
no. So we probably
Laid
bought that
out.
building. My organization purchased the Lafayette Place lofts.
Oh, that's what we did.
Yes.
We developed that.
So that one had historic tax credits, that had new market tax credits.
Cities.
Yes, and it also, I think, had some TIF in it as
Yep.
well. So that's the kind of capital stacks you're dealing with, where it's so many different programs layered on top of each other, and to make those work. And that's a great old building. It's an old Sears and Roebuck building. It's got 30 out of the 46 units are affordable. 9 of them are 50% AMI, and the rest are 120%, or 21 of them are 120% AMI. Yeah, we purchased it
Yeah.
October of last year
Oh, fantastic.
to keep it affordable.
Nice. Yeah, we developed that, shoot, that's got to be 12 years ago now.
2012 was when it started, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any other
I was
questions?
just going to say, yeah, Jeff and I have been talking, so.
Sorry.
Anybody, any questions for Joe or?
Just one last thing for Joe. Outstanding. He was a better planner as an intern than I was as a professional at the time. That's why he's still doing it. I'm sort of like moonlighting in it, so.
All right.
Okay, then there's no motion or anything we need to move on, so.
Nope.
Thank you, Joe. Looking forward to working with you and
Yes.
seeing you in the upcoming meetings. You're going to be busy. We're going to know each other on our first, a very.
I mean, we already
Very
know
swift.
each other on a first name basis,
I
but
know, so I
we're
guess we gotta-
definitely going to get there.
I talk to everybody on a first name basis. That's the way I
Same,
roll.
right? Same.
Yes, fantastic meeting all of those of you I haven't met before, and yeah, look forward to seeing a lot more.
Thanks for
Thanks,
coming,
Joe.
Joe.
Sure.
All righty. Bringing it back to agenda item number 8, public comments. Anybody from the public? Don't see any. Moving right along to liaison comments. Our liaison is not here. Staff comments. Susie.
No, I'm good for right now.
Okay.
You'll hear from me plenty.
Commissioner comments. Charlie.
Hey, did we ever do anything about accessory dwelling units? That never went anywhere, did it?
No, we brought that up, I brought that up at last year's joint planning commission, village council meeting to kind of take the temperature of like, what do you guys think? And there was, I'll say it was warm. You guys weren't freezing cold on it, for sure. It was certainly something worth exploring, right? So, but we don't have standards to allow for them in any sort of way.
I'm at the point in my life where I could really, really use an ADU.
For yourself, or like, because I like to escape my family too.
I mean, no, mother-in-law,
Yeah.
so.
That's what they were calling.
Yeah, and then wasn't that
make
something
it-
that was in the redevelopment
Yes.
package too? That's what- I
Different
think that's what I
housing
remember,
types,
is
yeah.
it was in there. So I think we kind of said, we're going to end up having to tackle it in totality with the
You
master.
can stay in a tent by the pool for a while. It'll be okay.
Nice.
Perfect.
It is. He's got a point. It's nice weather.
Anything else, Charlie? Elizabeth?
Me.
Jeff?
Nope.
Robin?
I just had a question, Susie, about the reappointments. They happen in June or July with council?
Yes, June.
Okay, all right. Just making sure.
You're there.
Make sure I'm there.
Jeff?
Me and Charlie.
No, applications are due Friday, though, I think, if you
Yes,
actually.
applications are due Friday, so get it in.
No, I turned mine in.
All
No,
right,
no,
good,
I'm just
good,
saying.
good.
I saw my name on the
Okay.
council meeting.
Okay.
So,
I would just, one other thing, if people want to look at it, MISTA actually has a getting housing ready recommendations for a municipality. If you type in MISTA and get housing ready, you can kind of see the stuff. Some of it's plan and zoning related, other stuff is just administrative things we can do. Other than that, I might be in Alaska in July, but we'll talk.
You might be in Alaska.
Well, no, I just don't know if it's that week. I think
Okay.
I'm going to Alaska in July. I just don't know if it'll be that.
All right, awesome.
Ashley?
No comment, thank you.
Okay, I don't have anything new other than it was a great Memorial Day parade and day carnival over at the park, so it was great. It's always great to see the community come out. Where are we at now? Correspondence. Do we have any correspondence?
No, sir.
All right, then I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn.
Second, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.